The massive ship called Unity's Voice moved slowly through the dark space between stars. Beside the ship, Ambassador Kim Tae-ho stood at the large window in his office and watched the distant lights of the Galactic Council station growing bigger. His silver hair was perfectly neat, and his dark suit was pressed clean. We changed everything for humanity. Kim had spent 40 years learning how to talk to other species. He spoke 7 alien languages and understood 12 different cultures, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. Humanity was about to meet 12 different alien races all at once. These aliens controlled most of the galaxy and had been working together for over 1,000 years. The door to his office opened and Captain Park Ji-woo walked in. The captain was younger than Kim, but his face showed the serious look of someone who had seen many battles. He wore the blue uniform of Earth's Space Navy, and his hand never moved far from his weapon. "Ambassador, we will reach the station in 2 hours," Park said. "My security team is ready, but I still think we should have brought more ships." Kim turned from the window and smiled. "Captain, we came here to show them we want peace. If we arrived with a fleet of warships, what message would that send?" Park did not look happy. "These aliens have been studying us for 10 years. They know about our wars. They know about our weapons. Some of them think we are too dangerous to be allowed into their council." Kim nodded. He had read all the reports. The Galactic Council had been watching Earth since humans first sent radio signals into space. They had seen the world wars and the nuclear bombs. They had watched as humans fought each other over land and resources and ideas. Most alien species had never fought wars like humans did. That is exactly why we must succeed today," Kim said. We need to show them that humans can be peaceful. We need to prove that we have learned from our mistakes." The ship's communication system made a soft sound. A woman's voice came through the speakers. "Ambassador Kim, this is Lieutenant Lee So-young in the Communication Center. We are receiving a message from the Galactic Council. They are ready to begin the welcome ceremony." Kim pressed a button on his desk. "Thank you, Lieutenant. Tell them we are honored to be here." Kim walked to his closet and took out a special box. Inside was a small piece of metal that looked like a star. It was made from materials found on Earth and shaped by the best human artists. This was humanity's gift to the Galactic Council. It was beautiful and peaceful and showed the best of what humans could create. The Unity's Voice was not just a ship. It was a floating city with over 3,000 people inside. There were diplomats and scientists and artists and cooks and doctors. Kim had chosen each person carefully. He wanted the aliens to see that humans were not just soldiers and warriors. They were also teachers and healers and builders. Kim's assistant, Han Mira, knocked on his door. She was young and smart and spoke 4 alien languages perfectly. "Ambassador, the other delegates are ready. Trade negotiator Choi Dongman has prepared the economic proposals. Dr. Lim Yoonji has the medical research ready to share. Everyone is excited." Kim smiled again. "Good. Remember, we are not just representing Earth today. We are representing the future of human civilization." Kea, the Unity's Voice, slowly connected to the Galactic Council station. The station was huge, bigger than any city on Earth. It was made of white metal that seemed to glow with its own light. Ships from 12 different species were docked at the station. Each ship looked completely different from the others. Kim and his team walked through the connecting tunnel to the station. The gravity felt different here, lighter than Earth's gravity. The air smelled strange, like flowers that Kim had never seen before. Everything was designed to make all the different species comfortable. The main meeting hall was enormous. The ceiling was so high that Kim could barely see it. Around the room were seats for hundreds of delegates from different species. Some of the aliens were tall and thin. Others were short and covered in fur. Some looked almost like humans, but with different colored skin or extra arms. At the center of the room was a raised platform with a single chair. This was where Kim would sit when he spoke to the council. He had practiced his speech 100 times. He had memorized every word in perfect galactic standard language. Supreme Arbiter Veltaire of the Vellani stood up to welcome the humans. The Vellani looked like tall, elegant birds with blue feathers and large, intelligent eyes. Veltaire spoke in a voice that sounded like singing. "Welcome, humans of Earth. We have watched your species for many years. We have seen your capacity for both creation and destruction. Today, we will decide if you are ready to join our peaceful community." Kim walked to the center platform. He could feel hundreds of alien eyes watching him. Some looked curious, others looked worried, a few looked afraid. "Honored delegates of the Galactic Council," Kim began. "I stand before you not as a conqueror or a warrior, but as a representative of humanity's hope for peace. Yes, we have fought wars. Yes, we have made mistakes, but we have also learned from those mistakes." Kim held up the metal star. "This gift represents our commitment to peace. It is made from materials found on our world, but it is shaped by our dreams of a better future. We offer it to you as a symbol of our desire to work together." The room was completely quiet. Kim continued his speech, talking about human achievements in medicine, in science, and art. He talked about how humans had learned to work together despite their differences. He explained how humanity wanted to share its knowledge with the galaxy. When Kim finished speaking, delegates talked among themselves in their own languages. Some seemed impressed, others looked doubtful. The Korthok delegate, a large alien with gray skin and sharp teeth, stared at Kim with obvious suspicion. After hours of discussion, Supreme Arbiter Veltaire stood up again. "The Galactic Council has made its decision. Humanity will be granted probationary membership. You will have 1 year to prove that you can be peaceful members of our community." Kim felt relief wash over him. It was not full membership, but it was a beginning. Captain Park and the other humans smiled and congratulated each other quietly. But Kim noticed something troubling. Several delegates were leaving the room quickly. They did not look happy about the council's decision. The Korthak delegate pointed at Kim and spoke angrily to his companions before walking out. As the ceremony ended, Kim felt both hope and worry. Humanity had taken its first step toward joining the galactic community, tickly, but he could see that not everyone wanted humans to succeed. Some aliens still believed that humans were too dangerous to be trusted. Kim did not know that some of those aliens were ready, planning to make sure humanity never got the chance to prove them wrong. 3 days had passed since humanity joined the Galactic Council as probationary members. Ambassador Kim Tae-ho felt hopeful as he walked through the corridors of the Unity's Voice. The meetings had gone better than expected. Several alien species seemed genuinely interested in human technology and culture. Tonight was special. The Galactic Council was hosting a diplomatic dinner to celebrate humanity's acceptance. Representatives from all 12 species would attend. Kim had spent hours preparing his remarks about cooperation and mutual understanding. Captain Park Ji-woo stood in the ship's security center, watching the scanner displays. Something felt wrong, but he could not explain what. Years of military training had taught him to trust his instincts. "Lieutenant Lee, are you seeing anything unusual on the sensors?" Park asked. Lieutenant Lee saw Young, checked her displays again. "Nothing, Captain. The usual traffic around the station. Some supply ships and diplomatic vessels." Park frowned. "Keep watching. Something doesn't feel right." In the dining hall, Kim sat at the head table with the other senior diplomats. Cultural attaché Han Mira was explaining human art to a fascinated Traxian delegate. Trade negotiator Choi Dongmin was discussing economic partnerships with representatives from 3 different species. The dinner was going perfectly. Aliens and humans were talking and laughing together. Kim allowed himself to believe that this was the beginning of a new era for humanity. Supreme Arbiter Veltar stood up to make a toast. To our new friends from Earth, may this be the first of many peaceful gatherings. Everyone raised their glasses. Kim smiled and was about to respond when the lights suddenly went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in red. Alarms started screaming throughout the ship. Kim heard Captain Park's voice over the communication system. All hands to battle stations. We are under attack. This is not a drill. The dining hall erupted in confusion. Alien delegates were asking questions in their own languages. Human security officers were trying to escort everyone to safety. Kim stood up and tried to calm everyone down. Please remain calm, Kim called out. Our security forces will handle whatever is happening. But even as he spoke, Kim could hear the sound of weapons fire echoing through the ship's hull. The Unity's voice shook as something hit it hard in the security center. Captain Park watched in horror as his displays showed the truth. 20 Korthok warships had appeared from nowhere, were attacking the Unity's voice. Their weapons were designed to disable the ship, not destroy it. They're not trying to kill us, Park realized. They want to board us. Captain, they're jamming our communications, Lieutenant Lee reported. I cannot contact Earth or the other council ships. Park grabbed his weapon and headed for the door. Send the security teams to protect the ambassador. Use emergency protocols to get a message to Earth. Tell them what happened here. Korthok boarding pods smashed through the Unity's voices, whole like metal fists. Dozens of gray-skinned warriors poured into the ship, carrying energy weapons and wearing heavy armor. They moved with military precision, heading directly for the dining hall. The human security teams fought bravely, but they were outnumbered 10-1. The Korthok had planned this attack carefully. They knew exactly where to go and what to do. Kim heard the sound of fighting getting closer to the dining hall. Some of the alien delegates were hiding under tables. Others were demanding to know what was happening. Kim tried to use his communication device to call for help, but it was not working. Ambassador Han Mira called out, "We need to get you to the escape pods." Kim shook his head. I cannot abandon our guests. At least delegates are under our protection. The doors to the dining hall exploded inward. Korthok soldiers stormed in with their weapons raised. Their leader, a massive warrior with scars covering his gray face, pointed his weapon directly at Kim. Ambassador Kim Taeho of Earth, the Korthok leader, said in broken galactic standard, "You are accused of being a threat to galactic peace. The sentence is death." Kim stepped forward with his hands raised. "Wait, if you have issues with humanity, we can discuss them. Violence is not necessary." The Korthok leader laughed. It was a harsh sound, like grinding metal. "Discussion time is over. The galaxy will be cleansed of the human disease. These delegates have done nothing wrong," Kim said desperately. "Let them go. They chose to welcome humans. They share your guilt." The Korthok soldiers opened fire. Kim died first, his body fallen to the floor of the dining hall. Han Mira screamed and tried to run, but the energy weapons cut her down. Trade negotiator Choi Dongman was killed while trying to protect an injured Volani diplomat. The massacre lasted only minutes. When it was over, every human in the dining hall was dead. Several alien delegates had also been killed, apparently by accident. Captain Park and his remaining security team fought desperately to reach the dining hall, but it was too late. The Korthok had already completed their mission and were returning to their boarding pods. "Sir, we need to evacuate now," Chief Engineer Yoon Ha-jin called over the communication system. "They've damaged the main reactor. The ship is going to explode." Park made the hardest decision of his life. All surviving crew to the escape pods. Abandoned ship. as the escape pods launched from the dying Unity's voice. Park watched through the small windows as the ship that had carried humanity's hopes exploded in a ball of fire. Communications officer Nam Jun-soo managed to get a distress signal through. The Korthok jamming. Earth Defense Fleet. This is Unity's voice. We are under attack. The ambassador is dead. Repeat. Ambassador Kim is dead. The escape pods drifted in space for hours. Park and his survivors watched as something incredible happened. Ships from all over the galaxy were leaving the area as fast as they could travel. The Vellani fleet was retreating to their home system. The Traxian Federation ships were jumping to hyperspace. Even the proud Alturian warships were running away. Captain, Lieutenant Lee said quietly, "Why are they all fleeing?" "The attack is over." Park stared at the fleeing ships and felt a cold fear in his stomach. These aliens knew something about humans that they had kept hidden. They knew what would happen when Earth learned that their peaceful ambassador had been murdered. The rescue ship Retribution arrived 6 hours later. Admiral Shin Young-min himself came aboard the lead escape pod to debrief the survivors. When Park told him what had happened, the Admiral's face became like stone. Admiral Park said, "The aliens are running, all of them. Even the ones who voted to accept us into the council." Admiral Shin nodded slowly. "They understand what we humans are capable of when we are pushed too far. They have studied our history. Okay. They know that we tried to offer them peace. What happens now?" Park asked. Admiral Shin looked out at the empty space where alien fleets had been just hours before. "Now they will learn why they should have accepted our friendship when we offered it." On Earth, President Kong Sora received the news in her office. She listened to the report without speaking. When it was finished, she stood up and walked to her window outside. She could see the lights of the Global Defense Council building. She picked up her secure communication device and spoke one sentence that would change the galaxy forever. "Activate Condition Omega. Total War Authorization is now in effect. The age of human diplomacy was over. The age of human warfare was about to begin." The message from Earth reached every human settlement in the galaxy within 12 hours. Captain Park Ji-woo had never heard of Condition Omega before, but when he looked it up in the military database, his blood ran cold. It was the authorization for total warfare without limits or restrictions on Earth. President Kang Sora stood before the Global Defense Council in the emergency session chamber. The room was filled with military leaders, scientists, and government officials. All of them had the same expression on their faces: cold anger. The Korthok Empire believed they could murder our diplomats and intimidate us into submission, President Kong said. Her voice was calm, but everyone could hear the steel beneath it. They have made a fatal mistake. They wanted to see monsters. Now they will see what real monsters look like. Admiral Shin Young-min stood at the front of the room next to a massive display showing the galaxy. Red dots marked Korthok territory. Blue dots showed human colonies and bases. There were far more red dots than blue ones, but that was about to change. The Korthok have approximately 800 star systems under their control, Admiral Shin reported. They have a fleet of over 3,000 warships and a population of nearly 50 billion. By normal calculations, they should be able to defeat us easily. The Admiral pressed a button and the display changed. Now it showed something different. Hidden bases that had been secret for decades. Shipyards that officially did not exist. Weapons research facilities that had been working on projects too dangerous to admit. However, they do not understand how humans prepare for war, Admiral Shin continued. For the past 50 years, we have been building weapons and ships that we hoped we would never need to use. Today, we use them all. Colonel Bae Jun-ho, the chief of military operations, stepped forward. All civilian shipyards are now under military control. We are converting every construction facility to warship production. The lunar yards will produce battleships. The Mars facilities will build carriers. The Jupiter stations will construct support vessels. President Kang nodded. How long until we can begin offensive operations? Phase 1 begins in 72 hours, Colonel Bay replied. Our advanced scouts are already moving toward Korthok space. The Prometheus research station, Dr. Lim Yoonji was working 18 hours a day to prepare humanity's secret weapons. The research station was hidden in an asteroid field where no alien had ever traveled. For 30 years, human scientists had been developing weapons that were considered too dangerous for civilized warfare. Dr. Lim, her assistant, called out, "Kinetic bombardment systems are ready for deployment. Kenna, the hunter-killer drone factories are online. Kenna, the quantum disruption torpedoes have passed all tests." Dr. Lim looked at the weapons that surrounded her. Each one was designed to cause maximum damage to enemy forces while avoiding civilian casualties. Humans had learned to wage war with surgical precision. Begin mass production immediately, she ordered. The military needs these weapons deployed within the week. The first human strike came without warning. Kongman led Strike 47, a unit that specialized in what the military called infrastructure neutralization. Their target was the Korthok colony world of Mordok, a heavily fortified planet that served as a major military base. The Korthok defenders expected a massive assault with thousands of ships and orbital bombardment. Instead, they got something far worse: small, fast ships that appeared from nowhere and struck with impossible accuracy. The human attack lasted exactly 17 minutes. When it was over, every military installation on Mordok had been reduced to smoking craters. The spaceport was gone. The weapons factories were destroyed. The command center was a pile of rubble. But the civilian areas were completely untouched. Korthok military leaders stared at their reports in disbelief. Had the humans destroyed their most heavily defended base without killing a single civilian? What kind of weapons could be so precise? They got their answer when Strike 47 hit 3 more colonies in the same day. Each attack was perfect. Each attack left the military infrastructure in ruins while the civilian population was unharmed. The message was clear. Humans could kill anyone they wanted, anytime they wanted. Admiral Kim Da-jeong, the younger brother of the murdered ambassador, commanded the main human fleet. Unlike his diplomatic brother, Kim Dwang had spent his entire life preparing for war. He understood that sometimes peace could only be achieved through overwhelming force. All fleet commanders, this is Admiral Kim. He broadcast to his ships. We are not here to conquer territory or rule over aliens. We are here to remove the threat that murdered our people. Every Korthok military asset is a target. Government official who supported the attack is a target. Everyone else is to be left alone. The human fleet moved through Korthok space like a scythe through wheat. Their ships were faster than anything the Korthok had ever seen. Their weapons were more powerful than anything in the galactic database. Their tactics were completely unlike anything the aliens had studied. The Korthok tried to fight back, but their traditional methods of warfare were useless against humans. They would gather their fleets for massive battles, only to find that the humans had already destroyed their supply bases and left them stranded. They would fortify their planets, only to discover that human weapons could strike from distances they had thought impossible. General Park In-ho led the ground forces that captured Korthok military installations. His soldiers moved like ghosts through enemy territory, striking without warning and disappearing before the defenders could respond. They used weapons that could see through walls and armor that made them nearly invisible. The enemy is not fighting like civilized beings, one captured Korthok officer complained. They use trickery and deception. They strike from the shadows. This is not honorable warfare. General Park listened to the translation and laughed. Honor is for those who respect the rules of war. You murdered diplomats under a flag of truce. You have no honor left to lose. The galaxy watched in growing terror as human forces swept through Korthok territory. The aliens had always believed that warfare was about massive fleets meeting in open space for honorable battle. Humans showed them that real warfare was about destroying your enemy's ability to fight back. Dr. Yu Minyo, working at a classified research facility, developed new weapons almost daily. Nanite swarms that could disassemble enemy ships at the molecular level. Stellar engineering devices that could make stars unstable. Bioweapons that targeted specific alien physiologies without harming humans. We are not just fighting a war, Dr. Yu told her team. We are demonstrating to the entire galaxy that attacking humanity was the worst mistake the Korthok could have made. The Scythian collective, watching the destruction of their Korthok allies, began to panic. They had supported the attack on the human embassy, believing it would eliminate the human threat. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous than they had imagined. We must do something, the Scythian council leader declared. The humans are not just defeating the Korthok, they are destroying them completely. If we do nothing, we could be next. The Scythian began reaching out to other alien species, trying to form an alliance against humanity. But most species were too terrified to respond. The Vellani had sealed their borders and were pretending humans did not exist. The Traxian Federation had recalled all their ships to defensive positions. Even the proud Altrurian Empire was building fortifications instead of preparing for war. Within 6 months, the Korthok Empire had lost half of its territory. Their military had been reduced from 3,000 ships to less than 500. Their government was in chaos as officials fled to hidden bunkers or tried to surrender to human forces. The Korthok Supreme Commander, desperate to end the war, sent a message to Admiral Kim requesting peace negotiations. The response came back within hours. You wanted to show the galaxy that humans were too dangerous to be trusted, Admiral Kim replied. Congratulations. You have proven your point. Now you will face the consequences. The galaxy began to understand a terrible truth. They had not just killed humanity's diplomats. They had killed the only humans who believed that aliens could be reasoned with. Now they faced humans who believed that some crimes could only be answered with a total destruction. The war was not even half finished. And already the word was spreading through every alien civilization. Never attack a human diplomat. The price was higher than anyone could afford to pay. The Korthok Empire was dying. After 8 months of human attacks, their once mighty civilization was collapsing. The military was broken. Her government was hiding in underground bunkers. Her people were starving as human forces destroyed every supply convoy that tried to move between planets. Supreme War Leader Thakaron of the Korthoks sat in his secret command bunker deep beneath the surface of their capital world. The gray-skinned alien who had once commanded fleets of warships now looked old and beaten. His advisors brought him reports of defeat after defeat. Supreme Leader, his military advisor, said nervously, "The humans have destroyed our last shipyard. We have no way to build new vessels. Our remaining fleet cannot protect even our most important worlds." Thakaron slammed his fist on the table. "How is this possible? We are the strongest military force in the galaxy. We have conquered dozens of species. How can these humans be defeating us so easily? Sir, they do not fight like any enemy we have faced before. They strike without warning. They disappear before we can respond. They seem to know our movements before we make them." Karawan realized that his empire had made a terrible mistake. The humans were not just another species to be conquered, but something else entirely. Something that had evolved to be perfect at warfare. Sent a message to the human admiral that Karawan ordered. "Tell them we wish to discuss peace." The The message reached Fleet Admiral Kim Do-young aboard his flagship Vengeance. He read it while standing on the bridge watching the latest attack on a Korthok military base. The base was being destroyed with surgical precision by weapons that struck from beyond the planet's atmosphere. Its communication officer reported, "Ku, the Korthok are requesting peace negotiations." Admiral Kim did not take his eyes off the destruction below. "Tell them our terms are simple. Complete surrender. Every official who supported the attack on our embassy will be handed over for trial. All Korthok military forces will be disbanded. All weapons of war will be destroyed." "Sir, they're asking for a meeting to discuss terms." Admiral Kim finally turned away from the window. His face was as cold as space itself. "There are no terms to discuss. They murdered my brother under a flag of truce. They killed innocent diplomats who came in peace. The only choice they have is surrender or extinction." Korthok response came back within hours. They rejected the human demands and vowed to fight to the last warrior. Admiral Kim had expected this answer. Korthok were too proud to admit complete defeat. They would have to be shown that resistance was hopeless. "Begin Operation Cleansing Dawn," Admiral Kim ordered. Operation Cleansing Dawn was the largest military action in human history. Every human ship in the galaxy received the same orders at the same time. Every Korthok military target would be attacked simultaneously. There would be no escape and no reinforcements. Major General Song Haijin coordinated the operation from the command ship Eclipse. She had spent months planning every detail. Human forces would strike over 200 targets at exactly the same moment. The Korthok would learn that humans could be everywhere at once. The attack began at exactly midnight Galactic Standard Time across 50 star systems. Human weapons struck Korthok military installations with devastating precision. Space stations exploded. Planetary defense systems went offline. Command centers were reduced to rubble. The Korthok tried to respond, but their communications networks had been destroyed in the first wave of attacks. Their commanders could not coordinate a defense. Their fleets could not support each other. They were fighting dozens of separate battles against an enemy that seemed to be everywhere on the fortress world of Korth Prime. General Park In-ho led the ground assault that captured the planet's main military complex. His soldiers moved through the facility like deadly shadows, using weapons and tactics the defenders had never seen before. "Target secured," General Park reported as his forces took control of the command center. "All enemy resistance has been eliminated. Military archives are intact for intelligence analysis." The same report came from human commanders across the galaxy. Every target had been taken. Every objective had been achieved. The Korthok military had been completely destroyed in a single, coordinated strike. The Scythian collective watched the destruction of their Korthok allies with growing terror. The snake-like aliens had been the secret power behind the attack on the human embassy. They had convinced the Korthok that humans were too dangerous to be allowed into galactic civilization. "We must act now," Scythian Council leader Veshtar declared to his advisors. "The humans will come for us next. We know too much about their capabilities. They cannot allow us to live." The Scythian began sending secret messages to every species in the galaxy. They painted the humans as an extinctionally threat that would destroy all alien life if not stopped. They called for the formation of a galactic defense alliance to fight the human menace. Some species were too terrified to respond. The Villani had sealed their borders completely. Traxian Federation was building massive defensive walls around their territory. But a few species, driven by fear and desperation, agreed to join the alliance. The Alturian Empire, despite their earlier retreat, began mobilizing their fleets. Their proud warrior culture could not accept that humans were superior fighters. Admiral Zefter of the Alturians believed that their ancient military traditions would triumph over human technology. "The humans are clever," Admiral Zepter told his officers. "But they lack honor. They fight like cowards, striking from hiding and using deception. When they face us in open battle, we will show them what real warriors can do." The Galactic Defense Alliance assembled a fleet of over 10,000 ships. Akeen was the largest military force ever gathered in galactic history. Representatives from 8 different species contributed their most powerful warships to the alliance. Dr. Lim Yunji received reports of the alien alliance while working in a research laboratory. She was not surprised. Humans had always known that other species might unite against them. She had been preparing for this possibility for months. Begin production of the stellar disruption devices. Dr. Lim ordered her team. "They want to fight us with everything they have. We will show them what our best weapons can do." The stellar disruption devices were the most terrible weapons humans had ever created. They could make stars unstable, causing them to collapse or explode. Dr. Lim had hoped they would never be used, but the alien alliance was forcing humanity's hand. Professor An Junwoo worked on biological weapons that could target specific alien physiologies. The weapons were designed to disable rather than kill, but they were still horrifying in their precision. They could affect only certain species while leaving others completely unharmed. "We are not monsters," Professor An told his research team. "We are creating these weapons to end the war quickly with minimal casualties. It is better to defeat our enemies without killing them if possible." Admiral Wan Jahayan prepared the human fleet for the coming battle. He had studied every alien species in the alliance and knew their strengths and weaknesses. The humans would not simply overwhelm their enemies with superior numbers. They would use intelligence and tactics to achieve victory. "The aliens still think this is about military strength," Admiral Wan explained to his officers. "They believe that the largest fleet wins. They do not understand that modern warfare is about information, coordination, and technology. We will defeat them before they realize the battle has begun." Colonel Im Soo-jin led the fighter squadrons that would spearhead the human attack. Kana pilots had been training for months using detailed simulations of alien ship designs. They knew exactly where to strike each enemy vessel for maximum effect. "Remember," Colonel M told our pilots, "we are not here to prove we are brave. We are here to win quickly and go home. Use every advantage we have. Show no mercy to those who showed no mercy to our diplomats." The Alien Alliance fleet gathered at the Threshold Nebula, a region of space between human and alien territory. They believed they were choosing the perfect battleground for a decisive victory. They did not realize they were walking into a trap that humans had been preparing for months. As the alien fleet moved into position, human forces were already surrounding them. Cloaked ships watched every movement. Hidden sensors tracked every communication. The aliens thought they were the hunters, but they had become the prey. Admiral Kim Do-young stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the enemy fleet through his displays. 10,000 alien ships against 3,000 human vessels. By any normal calculation, the aliens should win easily, but this would not be a normal battle. This would be a demonstration of what happened when you forced humans to show their true capabilities in warfare. "All ships, this is Admiral Kim," he broadcast to the human fleet. "Today, we end this war. Today, we show the galaxy that some mistakes cannot be forgiven. Today, we make sure that no species will ever again make the error of attacking our diplomats." The greatest battle in galactic history was about to begin. The Battle of Threshold Nebula began at dawn. Galactic Standard Time. Admiral Shin Youngmin commanded the human fleet from his flagship Eternal Vigilance. Round him, 3,000 human ships faced 10,000 vessels from the Galactic Defense Alliance. It should have been a massacre of the human forces. Instead, it became something else entirely. The alien alliance attacked first, sending wave after wave of ships toward the human lines. Admiral Zephyr of the Altrorians led the charge, believing that courage and honor would overcome human technology. His warriors screamed battle cries as they rushed toward the enemy. Admiral Shin watched the enemy approach with calm eyes. All ships, execute Pattern 7. Show them what real warfare looks like. The human response was unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. Human ships did not charge forward to meet the enemy. Instead, they seemed to vanish from sensor screens only to reappear in unexpected places. Their weapons struck with impossible accuracy from distances that should have been harmless. Admiral One Jae-hyun coordinated the tactical response from his command ship. He had studied alien military doctrine for years and knew exactly how they would attack. The aliens fought like ancient warriors, believing that bravery and strength were the keys to victory. Target their command ships first, Admiral 1 ordered. Break their ability to coordinate, and they will collapse into chaos. The first wave of alien ships was destroyed within minutes. Their shields, designed to protect against traditional energy weapons, were useless against human quantum disruption torpedoes. Their armor, built to stop conventional projectiles, could not withstand kinetic bombardment from human railguns. Colonel Im Soo-jan led her fighter squadrons through the alien formation like deadly ghosts. Her pilots used stealth technology that made them invisible to alien sensors. They struck without warning and disappeared before the enemy could respond. Squadron 7, target those Scythian cruisers, Colonel M commanded. Remember, these are the ones who planned the murder of our ambassador. Show them what that mistake cost them. The Scythian ships tried to flee when they realized they were being hunted. But human fighters were faster than anything the aliens had ever built. One by one, the snake-like aliens watched their ships explode around them. The battle was not even close. Human weapons technology was centuries ahead of anything the aliens possessed. Human tactics were based on thousands of years of warfare. While the aliens had lived in peace for so long, they had forgotten how to fight. Admiral Zephyr watched his proud Altrorian fleet being destroyed ship by ship. These humans did not fight with honor. They used tricks and deception and weapons that struck from impossible ranges. This was not the glorious battle he had expected. All ships retreat to defensive positions. Admiral Zephyr ordered desperately. We cannot fight them in open space. But there was nowhere to retreat. Human ships surrounded the alien fleet on all sides. What had seemed like a fair battle had become a trap. The aliens realized too late that they had been lured into a killing ground. Dr. Lim Yoon-ji watched the battle from her research station through real-time data feeds. The weapons she had created were performing exactly as designed. Human casualties were almost zero, while alien losses were catastrophic. The nanite swarms are working perfectly, she reported to her team. Enemy ships are being disabled at the molecular level. The stellar disruption devices are ready if we need them, but I do not think they will be necessary. This battle lasted only 4 hours. Well, when it was over, the Galactic Defense Alliance had been completely destroyed. Of the 10,000 ships that had entered the nebula, fewer than 500 escaped. Most of those were badly damaged and would never fight again. Admiral Shin stood on his bridge, looking at the wreckage floating in space. Thousands of alien ships had been reduced to metal debris. It had not been a battle. It had been a demonstration of human military superiority. Send a message to all surviving alien governments, Admiral Shin ordered. Tell them this is what happens when they threaten humanity. Tell them the choice is simple: surrender or face extinction. The message reached every alien civilization in the galaxy within hours. The species that had formed the alliance were in shock. Their most powerful fleets had been destroyed as easily as children's toys. The humans had not even seemed to be trying very hard. The Scythian collective was the first to break. Their homeworld received an ultimatum from President Kong Sora herself. The message was delivered by Admiral Kim Do-young, who had taken personal satisfaction in hunting down the Scythian fleet. The Scythian collective will surrender unconditionally within 24 hours, the message stated. All government officials involved in planning the attack on our embassy will be turned over for trial. All military forces will be disbanded. All weapons of war will be destroyed. Fuse these terms and your species will be removed from existence. The Scythian council leader, Veshtar, read the message with trembling hands. He had seen what human weapons could do. He had watched their ships destroy entire fleets without taking damage. The choice was between humiliation and extinction. We surrender, Veshtar announced to his council. Send word to the humans immediately. We accept all their terms. One by one, the other alien species made the same choice. The Alturian Empire, their warrior pride broken, agreed to disband their military. The Traxian Federation handed over their weapons and begged for mercy. Even species that had not participated in the alliance surrendered rather than risk human anger. The Korthok Empire made one last desperate attempt at resistance. Supreme War. Leader Thakkaron launched a final attack on a human colony world, hoping to force negotiations through hostage-taking. The human response was swift and absolute. Admiral Kim Do-young led a fleet directly to the Korthok homeworld. He did not attack the planet. Instead, he simply appeared in orbit with enough firepower to turn the entire world into radioactive dust. This is Admiral Kim of the Earth Defense Fleet. He broadcast to the planet below. You have 1 hour to surrender every individual involved in the embassy attack. Refuse, and your world dies. The Korthok population, faced with extinction, turned against their own government. Within 30 minutes, Supreme War Leader Thakkaron and his advisors were dragged from their bunkers by their own people and handed over to human forces. The war was over. In less than 1 year, humanity had defeated the greatest military alliance in galactic history. They had done it without destroying a single civilian population or conquering any territory, had simply removed every threat to their security with surgical precision. President Kong Sora addressed the reformed Galactic Council from the same chamber where Ambassador Kim had been murdered. The surviving alien representatives sat in silence, afraid to even look at the human leader directly. 1 year ago, your people murdered our ambassador, President Kang began. You believed that killing our diplomats would end the human threat. You were wrong. You did not kill our threat to you. You killed our desire to be your friends. The new galactic order was simple and absolute. Humanity did not seek to rule other species, but they would never again allow threats to human security. Every alien military was limited to defensive forces only. All weapons research was monitored by human observers. Any act of aggression against any species would be met with immediate human intervention. Ambassador No Tae-woo, Kim Tae-ho's replacement, stood at the podium where his predecessor had been murdered. Unlike his peaceful predecessor, No had spent years in the military before becoming a diplomat. He understood that sometimes peace required the threat of overwhelming force. The galaxy is now under human protection, No announced. We will ensure that no species attacks another. We will guarantee that the weak are protected from the strong. But we will also ensure that no one ever again makes the mistake of attacking human diplomats. The memorial service for Ambassador Kim and his staff was held on Earth in the same building where President Kang had declared war. Representatives from every surviving alien species attended, not because they were invited, but because they were afraid not to come. President Kong spoke at the memorial. Ambassador Kim believed that peace was possible between humans and aliens. He died trying to build bridges between our species. We fought this war to ensure that his dream of peace could still come true, even if it required force to achieve it. The galaxy had learned the most important lesson in its history. Humans, would extend their hand in friendship to anyone willing to take it. But when that hand was struck down, they would show the universe why it should have been accepted. The age of human diplomacy had returned. But now it was backed by the most powerful military force the galaxy had ever seen. Peace would reign among the stars, not because everyone wanted it, but because everyone feared the alternative. The species that had once thought humans were too dangerous to be trusted had learned they were right. Humans were dangerous, but they were only dangerous to those who threatened the innocent or attacked the peaceful. The galaxy was safer than it had ever been, and it would remain safe as long as everyone remembered the price of killing Earth's ambassador.